Welcome to the 4 Pillars of Men's Health, a podcast of resources for restoring vigor and vitality, bringing you top influencers in the men's health arena, case studies of men who have succeeded and how they did it, and cutting-edge teaching on men's health issues from America's leading men's health guru, Dave Skattum. Get ready to take steps towards good health. Here's your host, Dave Skattum.
In the Ironman edition, couch potato to Ironman, using triathlon as a tool to get healthy. And it's just something I am really passionate about. There's a lot of ways to get physical health, and triathlon is one of them. And it's one of them I love, and so that's why I'm delving into this. And I hope that to get you involved with it as well. So let's just drop right into this. I've been talking to you about the Ironman program and triathlon, and I'm telling you, this is a big job. And just picture yourself like me. So here you are. You walk up. You have your wetsuit on. You walk up to the edge of the lake or the beach or the pond or whatever it is, and you're sandwiched in there with thousands of other people, and you look out across the body of water and you see these buoys, and they're about 100 yards apart, and they seem like they just go on forever. You can't see the end of them. That's how it looks. It's like over a 2-mile swim. And that's like swimming. If Manhattan Island in New York had a place to swim across, it would be like swimming from one end to the other. It's pretty huge. It would be a good jump on going from France to Europe as well. So it's a big commitment. But then once you get out of the water, and the next event is even somewhat the same atrociousness. It's a 112 mile bike ride. And just that in itself is monumental, to get on your bike and ride that far. And then it's like a capstone on top of those things. Then you have a full marathon, 26 miles of running. And if you're like me, years ago, and even today, if you're like me, you think to yourself, that is really stupid. That's a lot of work. How is that even possible to do such a thing? Well, I'm here to tell you that it is possible and that we can do it. And it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And just a little caveat, I don't know if the extreme amount of training that you have to do for one of these full Ironman is extremely healthy for your body. It's working for me right now. But if I'm sensing that it's like that it's putting a kibosh on my ability to keep fit long term, I'm gonna drop it. So, or at least slow down to a smaller, like a sprint or a smaller length triathlon. But my goal is to stay healthy for as long as I can. And if I'm doing something to my body that's causing that not to happen, I'm the first one to get out of there. So right now it's working for me, and it just seems like a really good activity. And I hope you'll at least investigate it and check it out. Last time we talked about mindset and the paradigms that we have, and some of the negative thinking and some of the trash thinking that we have to get out of our brains, and how to do that. This time we're going to be talking about how to chunk this thing down so that it's even like somewhat feasible. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So buckle in. This is going to be good. This is called the baby steps, moving mountains with baby steps. And that's how it's done. That's how it is, exactly how it's done. And I want to give you a little bit of a warning about because I've seen this happen. I've seen guys jump in. I've never seen them do this with a full-on Ironman, but some of the smaller races, I've seen, especially younger guys, they train for a week and then they go do the event, and they never do it again because it's such a negative experience. And especially when you get older, there's a really good chance if you do too much too quick that you're going to end up with an injury. And that's going to put a kibosh on all of your training, keeping your body physically fit. And you want to avoid that. And so that's why we break it down and start where you're at and get going from there. Another thing that happens if you do too much all at once is you just end up getting discouraged. It just becomes like this nightmare thing, and you just don't ever want to touch it again. It just seems like a really stupid thing. You didn't get any enjoyment out of it. And so you just get discouraged. And the other thing that happens if you do too much too quick is you just completely give up. I mean, you just think to yourself, I can never do this. I started on this, I'm never going to try this again. So that's what happens if you don't take these baby steps and take it one step at a time and get there slowly and in a healthy way. So keep that in mind. And that's why I have this whole portion of this thing about baby steps and taking small steps to get to where you want to be. And so here's a few things that I'd like to recommend to you that you do in order to start out slowly and make sure that you are taking smaller steps so that you don't get injuries and you don't get discouraged and you don't give up. And here's a few things that you can do. And I want to put a caveat here too. This is way more critical as you get older and farther along in life. When you're younger, your body is more resilient, and you can hammer a little bit harder and get away with it. But I'm telling you, even at that age, you want to take baby steps so that you can be healthy. I mean, the whole point of this is to get your heart pumping, get your cardiovascular system going, make your joints and tendons stronger, your muscles stronger, and get your blood flowing better. And that's the whole goal of this. And if that's not happening, this is not right. This is not a good thing. So keep that in mind. But a couple of first steps I want to just say to you. I got 4 or 5 things that you can do in order to make this thing doable and feasible for you. First thing I would recommend is that you go see a doctor. And you can also do, I mean, if you don't have any medical problems, I actually went and saw a fitness trainer. And they did my blood pressure and checked my heart. And they aren't doctors, but they could see anything. And I other than just being really out of shape, my cardiovascular system and things were kind of like all there. So I did not go to a doctor. But if you have diabetes, if you have heart conditions, if you've had surgeries in the past that you think might interfere with this, anything like that, go see a medical doctor and say, hey, you know, I've been listening to this crazy guy on YouTube or my podcast, and he's really excited about going and jamming this thing out with triathlons and Ironman. And I'd like to try that out and just get feedback from him. And he'll be able to tell him or her, and they'll be able to tell you more accurately if you are up for this, and maybe some steps that they would recommend. So that would be the first thing I would do, is go see a doctor and just check it out. You don't want to like overdo it on the first day and have a heart attack or something like that, or break something in your body. So that would be my first recommendation. The second thing that I would do that worked really good for me is I met with a guy that was a fitness trainer, and he specialized in triathlon. He's still here. I go to him many times, and he helps me when I hit a bump or whatever, and he helps me get through things. And what he did was, let me just describe this. What he did was he did like a very thorough analysis of a lot of stuff and gave me kind of like a base of where to go. And like, for example, we went to the pool. And at that time, I could not swim very good. In fact, sideways across the pool that I swim in is probably about 15 meters, something like that. And literally, guys, I could not swim across that pool. I couldn't. I like to dog paddle or whatever. But it was a disaster. And so he saw me doing that, and he said, okay, I know where we're at there. And then he took me to his office, and he put me on a treadmill. And he took videos from back angle, front angle, and side angle of how my feet were landing, how my hips were rotating, everything about that. And he gave me a thorough analysis of my running stance, the way just everything to like head off any problems with injuries in the future regarding running, which is really good. And then he put me on a bike, and he did a whole measurement thing where he found out what size of bike I should be riding. He spent a lot of time. It's like a computer thing. He put these electrodes on me, and he saw where my hips were, my legs, my knees, my ankles, my toes. And he saw the side angle, front angle, back angle again, and just did a thorough analysis. And it really gave me some great insights into what I should be doing, what I could be doing to work on, what size of bike I should be getting, and all those things. And so if you, I would highly recommend that, especially somebody like the guy that I found that was closely connected with triathlon. Now, some people don't understand. Some people that are in fitness training don't understand the endurance part of getting in shape as much. They get training in that area, but they don't understand it as much as they need to in order to help you. So I would sure find a fitness coach or a personal trainer that knows about triathlon and can help you on your journey in that direction. And just some resources, USAT, USA Triathlon. If you go to their website, they have a whole section in there on coaches. Another guy that's in this system of couch potato to Ironman that I interviewed for this program, that I don't know if you've seen it yet, but you will soon if you haven't. His name is Brian Grasky, and he's got this whole like triathlon training thing, and he is totally immersed into triathlon, and he would be a great resource for you to get a hold of. And you can check out his video and all his contact information. He's just a great guy. He's a F-16 fighter pilot, and he's not even retired yet. He's still out training guys to fly those things. And in his off time, he's training guys men and women to run triathlons and other things that he does. So, but his name is Brian Grasky. You can Google him right now if you haven't seen his video, Grasky, and just a really good guy. And he's got a great program set up to help people with that. So that's a couple things. I would go to a doctor, especially if you have any health conditions. Go to a doctor, ask them, tell them what you're doing, ask them what they think. Next one is personal trainer, especially somebody that is connected with triathlon and understands nutritional needs, hydration needs, endurance needs, all those things. Some fitness trainers are just into strength training and building muscle, and that's great. If that's the route that you want to go, that's great. Do that. And but for triathlon, there's some unique things about it that you need to have some familiarity with your coach or your fitness trainer. The other thing, I just kind of touched on it just now, but the other thing that you can do is hire yourself an actual coach. There's people out there that are triathlon coaches, and they will help you. They can set up programs for you. They can set up kind of monitor your nutritional needs, your hydration needs, and all those things, and fit, just like my friend did, fit you on your bike, check you out with your run. And the advantage of having a coach over, say, like a fitness trainer, and this is repetitive, but I want to drive this point home, is that a coach, you want to find a coach that is specific with triathlon or Ironman. For a fitness trainer is more generic and a big umbrella, and they're going to be able to help you out, but probably not as much as a coach. The thing about coaches is they might not have as much training as a fitness trainer. So just keep those things in mind and make sure you get somebody that knows what they're doing in the area of triathlon and Ironman. So see a doctor, go see your doctor, especially if you have any health conditions. Find yourself a fitness trainer and hire a coach. Those would be some places that you can start to chunk this thing down so that you can get going on your road to a triathlon. So more specific things about this and how you can chunk it down even more, dial this in even more is, I think I've talked about this in other videos, but I'll just refresh you for you that haven't heard my stuff very much. But when I first started, I was, right now I'm about 175, 180 pounds. When I first started this thing, I was about 240, 250 pounds. And I couldn't run. I physically could not run. And I certainly couldn't bike, and I couldn't swim. And I had a friend of mine that was had his leg amputated because of his poor health decisions. And I saw that guy, laying on that in my mind, I saw him laying on that hospital bed, getting his leg cut off because of the poor choices that he was making, that he had made, and that I was currently making. And I said, you know what? No way. I was pre-diabetic. I knew I was heading that direction. And I said, no way. I'm not going to do this. And that's what kind of changed my paradigm. I said, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want to lose my leg. And I was in Montana here where I live. There we have for garbage, we have these big, huge green dumpsters. We bring our garbage up there. And sometimes when people have something nice that they want to get rid of it, but they think somebody could use it, they lean it up against these dumpsters. And so you can go up there. It's kind of like turns into a little bit of a shopping mall sometimes. But I went up to bring my garbage up there one time, and there was this red bicycle. And it was like a Huffy or something like that, Schwinn. I don't know what it was. And I looked at it, and at least one of the tires were up. I think the brakes worked pretty good, but all the gears shifted and looked pretty good. So I threw it in the back of my pickup and drove home, pumped that thing up, and pumped up the tires. And I took off on a 1 mile bike ride down the road. And, I got down about halfway, it's about half a mile. And I thought, well, this isn't too bad. I kind of did this when I was in high school. I'm feeling pretty good. So I turned around, came back. And by the time I got back home, and keep in mind, this is 1 mile. By the time I got home, I had to get off my bike. I probably fell off. And I had to push my bike up our driveway to get it back home. And I literally that day and for a couple of days, I was on my bed, in pain. And for 2 weeks, I was suffering because of the pain that little trip had cost me. And now I'm riding out, today I could go out and go, I feel comfortable saying I could go 120 miles today. Easy. Not easy, but I could do it. And the consequences would not be that great. And the same thing with swimming. I still remember getting in that pool for the first time, deciding I got to learn how to swim. And there was this cute little lifeguard lady, and she was watching me, and I knew that she was concerned about me because I was huge and didn't know how to swim. And she was watching me, and I thought, oh, this is so embarrassing. I was I swallowed most of the pool that day, and I could not swim. And it was so embarrassing for me to start out at just around 50 years old and not know how to swim. And luckily I had this coach that I ran into, and this girl actually was a great inspiration to me. She encouraged me, said, you can do it. I said, I'm going to do an Ironman. I'm going to do a triathlon. She said, I do triathlons. And so she was really supportive, but that's where it started for me. And I don't know where you're at. Maybe you're ahead of me there. Maybe you've been running a little bit, or quite a bit. I don't know, riding bikes, swimming, all that stuff. But some of you are in worse shape than I was, and that's why it's so important to break this thing down and not get into a rush and try and take off too much of a bite at one time, to avoid those injuries, to avoid discouragement, and to avoid injuries. And those are the things that you can do, because I did them. That's how I did it. Now I just the other day, on my workout, I'm working up to a full Ironman in Tulsa, Oklahoma in a few months here. And I went out and swam 1 hour, swam 3,000 yards, and it felt good. And it wasn't that big of a problem. And so it went from, years ago not being able to swim to where I'm at now. And it's just incredible. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. A couple other things that was really helpful to me was I ran into this guy that wrote some books on triathlon. His name is Joe Friel. And he wrote this book called The Triathlon Bible. And this thing is just jam-packed with just incredible information, 331 pages long. And in addition to my coach, I got into this, and he gets into the science and the nuts and bolts of triathlon. And he also has a great guide, that like a journal that you can order that goes along with this book, and it helps you like go through the racing, the building process. And he gets into how to condition your body and all this intricate things about triathlon that you need to know about. Another book that he wrote for us older guys is he wrote a book called Fast After 50. Same guy, and the same style of writing, but it's geared more towards us older guys that are trying to get physically fit and want to be fast at the same time and not get injured and not get discouraged. But I'd recommend these two books by Joe Friel and Friel. I'll put a copy of his name in the show notes, and you can take a look at his stuff. But it's that would be another really good resource for you. So just remember, you can't just all of a sudden take on this big, huge challenge and do like 3 weeks I'm gonna be doing an Ironman. No. It took me, I think before I attempted my first Ironman, I was working out pretty consistent, pretty hard for about 3 or 4 years. And it started with like a smaller one. It started with small runs, started with small bikes, started with small swims. And I did this process of getting bigger, faster, stronger, longer, all that stuff. And it just worked for me. And you can do it too. You can do this, but it takes baby steps. Don't take too much of a chunk at one time, and avoid those injuries, avoid discouragement, and avoid giving up. And you can do this. You can do this. Another resource for you is me. You can go to my website, the4pillarsofmenshealth.com, and check out my calendar there. And I do a free 20-minute consultation. So I'd love to chat with you about where you're at. I am a personal trainer, and I am not currently. I let my thing lapse, but I'm going to be again a certified coach with USAT, US Triathlon team, and so I do know I'm plugged into it. It's not probably one of my specialties, but I'd love to be able to talk with you about it and point you in the right direction. So just remember, baby steps move mountains. Our next session is going to be kind of tied in with this a little bit, but it's about creating a new you. And some of us really need to be revamped. And our bodies are amazing. Our minds are amazing. And there's very concrete ways to make your body over again. And so I hope you stick with this. Stick with this for the next one. It's going to be creating a new you. But until then, let's start taking some baby steps Maybe set up an appointment with your doctor. Google where you're located. See if there's any triathlon coaches or fitness trainers around you. Get a hold of Brian Grasky. He's a fabulous resource, a great guy. Check my website out, and together we can get from couch potato to Ironman through baby steps that move mountains. Hey, welcome to the 4 Pillars of Men's Health. This is part 3.
You've been listening to the 4 Pillars of Men's Health with Dave Skattum. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit the4pillarsofmenshealth.com.